movie starts out with John Rambo arriving at a quiet lakeside settlement. He walks up to a modest home near the shore and asks a woman if they know the man he served with in Vietnam, who goes by the name Del Mar. John shows them a worn note with their address and an old photo of Del Mar and the whole crew in uniform. The woman tells him that Del Mar died last year of cancer he got serving in Nam. Stunned and speechless, John gently hands her the photo and walks away. Rambo walks on the open highway, going wherever it takes him. He reaches a small town in Washington state called Hope. Local Sheriff Will Teasel, a man who knows every face in town, notices the stranger right away and offers him a ride. He tells the sheriff he's headed to Portland, but Teasel tells him Portland's in the opposite direction. When John says he wants something to eat, Will tells him the nearest diner is 50 kilometers out of town. The message is clear. He wants him gone. So, at the edge of town, he drops Rambo off and warns him not to come back. As a light rain begins to fall, he turns around and walks straight back into town. Will sees him and cuts him off again. Will pulls his gun and arrests Rambo. At the jail, things get worse. Will books him for vagrancy, resisting arrest, and carrying the concealed weapon. The police take Rambo downstairs to question him, but when asking his name, a window triggers memories of the prison camp he was tortured in years ago. He refuses to speak and resists being searched. Deputy Guy yanks the dog tags from his neck and reads his name, John Rambo. Even knowing he's a soldier earns him no respect. When they try to fingerprint him, he fights back. Will walks in and threatens him with a 90-day incarceration plus a $250 fine. Later, as John is undressing, the cops see the deep, brutal scars covering his body. They hose him down with high-pressure water. When they try to shave him with a straight razor, flashbacks to Vietnam flood his mind. John takes out Galt and two more officers. He escapes the station, knocks a man off his motorcycle, and rides off. Rambo hits the gas, tearing down the road with the sheriff close behind. But as the chase veers off the pavement and into rough terrain, John begins to gain the upper hand. Will radios for backup, but loses control of his car on a steep hill and crashes. Rambo's bike can't handle the drop either. He abandons it and takes off on foot, disappearing into the mountains. Rambo stumbles across an abandoned construction camp deep in the woods. There, he scavenges rope and heavy fabric, crafting a makeshift cloak to not feel cold. Will brings in K9 units and other cops, determined to flush Rambo out. The dogs pick up his scent, and John keeps moving north, guided by the compass hidden in the handle of his knife. He climbs higher, reaching the top of a mountain where there's nowhere left to run. As he begins scaling down a sheer cliff above a roaring river, a helicopter suddenly appears overhead. Galt is inside, armed and ignoring orders to take Rambo alive. Bullets rip into the cliffside as John clings to the rock face, knowing his luck won't last. With no other choice, he leaps. On the way down, he grabs hold of tree branches to break the fall. It saves his life, but he lands hard, injuring his right arm. Galt still finds him and keeps shooting at him. Rambo hurls a rock at the helicopter's windshield. The pilot jerks in panic, and Galt is thrown from the open door, crashing to his death on the rocks below. He takes the rifle and slips into the forest, following the riverbank. When Will finds Galt's corpse, there's no word, just silence. Using the tools in his knife, Rambo stitches up his shoulder. Then he moves toward the search team, hands raised, but Teasel opens fire, and the others follow. Rambo runs away. Over the radio, the truth finally surfaces. John Rambo is a decorated Vietnam veteran. This doesn't deter Will, and he'll get justice for his fallen friend. Rambo, armed now and fully in survival mode, he shoots one of the handlers in the leg, then uses a decoy to lure the dogs in and kills them. Rambo stabs one cop in the leg and breaks another's arm. He appears in front of one cop, moves so the cop can shoot his partner. He chases after Rambo and gets his legs trapped. Rambo corners the sheriff with a knife at his throat. After making it clear to Will that he wants to be left alone, he spares him and vanishes into the woods. As the wounded are pulled from the forest, reporters swarm the area and state police begin arriving, but Teasel refuses to step aside. Then, Colonel Sam Trotman arrives. He tells the officers that John was the best soldier he ever had, able to survive without food, water, or support, even under the worst conditions. He warns Teasel to let go of his pride and call off the hunt, but Teasel refuses to back down. Rambo survives quietly in the wilderness. He hunts a wild boar for food and sets up camp in an abandoned cabin deep in the woods. Using the stolen police radio, he listens in as officers try to make contact, urging him to surrender. Trotman uses military call signs, leader, to identify himself to Rambo. The colonel starts naming members of their old unit one by one. John finally responds, reporting that he's the only one left alive. Trotman offers his condolences and pleads with him to surrender, but Rambo says it's too late. At dawn, officers move into the mountains, but once again, Rambo slips past them. He nearly kills a young hunter before realizing the kid poses no threat and lets him go. The other hunters spot Rambo and fire warning shots to alert police. John rushes inside an abandoned mine. The officers surround the entrance and start shooting. He returns fire with an automatic rifle. A lieutenant gives him 3 seconds to surrender. When there's no answer, they fire a rocket into the mine. The officers celebrate, snapping pictures and declaring victory. When Teasel arrives and sees what's happened, he's furious. Meanwhile, in the pitch-black mine, Rambo lights a torch and pushes forward into the underground stream, hoping it leads somewhere. He follows it until a swarm of rats attacks. Fighting them off, he notices the torch smoke rising and follows the airflow. It leads him back to the surface. Rambo spots a convoy on the highway and jumps onto a military truck. He holds the driver at knife point, learns the vehicle is carrying ammunition, and throws the man out. Teasel is informed that Rambo's alive. As John drives, a patrol car opens fire, shattering the truck's side window. He forces it off the road, crashing it into a parked vehicle, then smashes through a roadblock and charges into the town. He crashes into a gas station, and the fuel bursts from the pumps and lights the trail, triggering a massive explosion. Will declares a state of emergency and orders everyone to shelter in place. Rambo stays hidden in the shadows. Will climbs to the station's attic, suspecting John is coming for him personally. Rambo's shooting out transformers and blacking out entire blocks. He fires into storefronts to scatter the police, then sneaks into a gun shop and sets off a chain reaction by igniting the powder and ammo. The explosion rocks the street. Teasel scrambles, unsure where the next shot will come from. Then Rambo opens fire on the police station itself, tearing through the structure. He enters the building, knowing Teasel is above him. The sheriff fires first, but John blasts upward, sending him crashing through the skylight. Teasel is wounded. Rambo stands over him, ready to finish it, but Troutman's voice cuts through the smoke. The colonel tells him to stop, warning that if Rambo keeps going, the full weight of the U.S. Army will descend on him, and no one will walk out alive. Finally, Rambo speaks. He breaks, unleashing everything he's held in. He didn't ask for this. He served his country. He fought its war. But when he came home, he was tossed aside. In Vietnam, he handled millions in military tech. Now he can't even hold down a job. No one respects him. Everyone calls him a drifter. He gave everything and got nothing back. Tears mix with anger. And nobody would help. No one help. His voice cracks as he remembers his friends all gone. Troutman steps forward and pulls John into a quiet embrace. Rambo is finally arrested and the movie comes to an end.